all that lines up, and you want to make sure that you're putting out this complete package that is just bulletproof on the look, the sound, the imagery, every component of what makes that album cycle what it is. So yeah, we're still in the process of that, and it will get done.
Back in the UK once again. Always great to have you guys over here. You know the crowds go nuts over here. Absolutely love it. And more to the point as well, at the time of recording, we're just a couple of days away, right, from Brixton. I mean, so great to see you in that venue, and one that's been closed for a while as well. Just lovely to have that venue back. But gotta feel like a pretty good way to wrap up this touring cycle, right?
Yeah, we I think Brixton is like the sickest way. It's not the final show of the tour, but it's the final UK show. And we have not played, we've only played there one time ever, and it was in 2013. So it's been 12 years, and it's so sick to like be able to come back and play it again for the first time and actually headline it. So, and it like sold out in like a day or two. So it's just so many great vibes around that show, and it's going to be an emotional one, I think, for sure.
Oh, 100%. I mean, it must have been fairly emotional so far already anyway, because finally getting over here to the UK and Europe, I suppose, as well, doing these headliners on an album that, as we've discussed many times at this point, took you guys to these incredible, incredible heights. Like being able to now be able to come back with the headline shows around this, that's got to feel like a real, real moment to cap off this era in that way.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've been pretty much telling the crowds every night, like, it's just crazy to me to think about like the last time we headlined in Europe was 2019, and we were doing like 1,000 cap, 1,500 cap rooms at the most, and we didn't even sell out London, I don't think, on that tour at the Forum. So it's like I don't know if it's a combination of just the pandemic mixed with the new record, because 2019 was before, clearly, obviously before the newest record, and I don't know what concoction of elements has come together to make the stars align, but it's just been like you go out there right now and you're just like, when did this even happen? Like what took place and why is this doing this right now? But I'm stoked, and clear the energy on the tour has just been so positive. It's probably like the least stressed out on a tour I've been, minus the part where we were sick. But other than that, it's just been like so cool and easy and fun.
Yeah, it's really, really nice to see. And again, it's just such a lovely way to kind of wrap up this cycle because I guess we are basically at the end. I know there's festivals and stuff lined up, which we'll talk about in a sec, but I guess
Mhm.
for all intents and purposes, this really will, the end of this tour will mark the end of this album era that you've been on. And as like I say, as we've discussed, what a journey that's been. Just this record alone, what an absolutely incredible run you guys have been on. It's got to be a bit surreal now to be bringing that to a close, I suppose, and just have those moments to reflect and kind of acknowledge the really seismic change that happened within that one album. So that it's rarefied air we're in here. It's got to feel kind of special to be able to finally now see it come to an end like this.
Yeah, I think this is probably like the sickest way that you can close out an album cycle. We have some like one-off festivals and then the festivals over here, but I feel like festivals are like a headliner is still part of the album cycle. Festivals are like those kind of like a different mentality, and you go into it and it's just not the same. But yeah, to use this tour as like the final piece of the puzzle, like the fans for so long, even before we were over here with Beartooth, they were like, we need a headliner for the new record. And we tried and tried and tried. And I know that it's like over a year after the last US headliner we did for this album, but we just did not want to like let this go. Like they wanted it, we wanted to make it happen, and clearly it became what it did. So um it's just the perfect way to say goodbye and move on and get ready for what's next.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, before we get on to what's next, let's reflect because something that massive that happened since the last time I spoke to you. I think it was like maybe a week or so after the last time we spoke was Apocalypse Fest. I think I got you just before the kind of final preps for that. Congrats again. I mean, always a great
Thank you.
achievement and lovely to be able to do it in your hometown. I guess we're getting to the point now where there's learning curves here, right? Now you know a little bit more about what to put on the festival, what to do, what not to do. Seems like it went really well, but what were the learning points from round two? I guess it is round two, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it is round two. I mean, I think it's cool because the first one was an all-day festival. It was just tons of bands. And this time it was 2 nights and, nine different bands, I think, between the 2 nights, or 8 or 9 different bands. So um, I just think it's cool to like find ways to make it feel special without repeating. Um, I think the hardest thing to figure out is like going forward, what what really defines a a festival show? Is it the fact that it's an all day thing? Is it multiple stages? Like what factors have to happen to define it as a festival? Because we want to continue to do this and take it further and expand it wherever we can, but I don't want to do something that just feels like some stupid ass cash grab that's just like, we're doing a festival, but it's just 5 bands on one night. So that's not really what we're trying to do with it. So I think it's just a matter of knowing what fans, I guess, want with it, or what they feel comfortable in, like, investing their time and traveling for a festival if it's not a festival. So, like, yeah, just a lot of those types of things. But we want to make it legit and really continue it on. And this year's was awesome. So 2 for 2.
Yeah, two for two. Long may it continue. It's, I guess that's the thing as well, is when you're doing your own special event like that, it's finding ways to make it extra special. So I guess this year playing Reincarnate in full, an obvious move to be like, yeah, this is something for the fans that they're going to really enjoy, and we can do something interesting there.
Mhm.
Tell me about that. Tell me about getting to grips with that record again, because it's always an interesting process finding those moments that you maybe forgot that lyric here, we need to relearn that, but when we're in rehearsals, finding those moments to blow the cobwebs away. What was that like?
Oh my God. I think for all of us, it was so wild to like go down the road of songs that I haven't even listened to in years. Like, it's been years since I've heard a few of those songs. And I think for most of us, it was kind of just like when we did the Creatures one year over the pandemic, where it was like it was so special, and like the feeling of like this is old but feels new again was really exciting. So rehearsals for it were super cool. I think everybody was like, it wasn't like anybody was just like, I don't want to do this, but I guess I have to. It was like full investment. Everyone was really hyped on bringing back some of these tracks, and to get to do it 2 nights in a row. And then for me, the guests that we had, multiple guest vocalists, and getting to play one of the songs for the first time ever with the vocalist on the song, just really, really, really special. And I think that that was felt as probably the most present feedback from the fans that I've noticed, is like they just love that there was so much extra. It wasn't just us going up there and playing 12 songs. It was like it was a real investment in trying to make it a theatrical event, and I think that's what we did. So yeah.
Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it, just giving that and also, I'm glad you lose your special guest, but also bringing Josh out as well. I mean, like being able to nod to your past and have that, that's such a lovely thing. And I hope you guys appreciate how rare that is as well. Like it's so rare to see people be able to be like, and let's welcome an old friend back up for this song, because a lot of times people leave bands and it's maybe not as friendly as that, as we all know. But like something like that is just so lovely. And again, I bet the fan reaction to that was just incredible, right?
Yeah, I mean, we love trying to do those things whenever possible. And we've had our former drummer Angelo play a song with us at a show. We've had our former guitarist TJ do a tour with us before playing. Like, it's just cool that like we always really try to remain wherever we can that makes sense or feels good in staying rooted in like the history of the band, the lore of the band, because fans have invested in that level of Motionless. So we like that aspect of it. And then of course, just personally, these people were our family for so long before they weren't in the band anymore. And to have that chance to kind of just rekindle those memories and that feeling and that energy of what it was, and then get to stand there and do a speech and just recall all that history. It was really powerful. And I feel like that's probably, if you asked fans what their most, highlight moment of the show was, that was probably it. I think that was it for me. that one. And it's tough between the stuff with Josh and playing Wasps for the first time. So it just all around so sick, and I can't say enough about it.
I think it's obvious from this conversation we're having, but year three, we planning it already, I take it?
Yeah, I think this year we're like trying. Yeah, it's I can't really say too much.
Oh, of course, of course.
We're in an interesting position where we have a tour that is around that same time period. We're doing a support tour, and it's around the same time period. So it's really tough to try to figure out how to manage that. But there's also nothing that says that it has to be in October. Like there's no, it's not like we said like it can only be this time frame. So I think there's just some logistical stuff that people don't realize that go into things like radius clauses and all these things that the fans have no idea about why bands can or can't do certain shows. And we'll figure it out. But I know that I would like to do another full album show because we have only now ever gotten to actually do one live, like in front of actual people physically. So that'd be a really cool way to do this year. We'll see.
We'll see. Fingers crossed. Exciting times ahead either way on that one. Let's talk a little bit about new music then, because obviously when we spoke for the Rock Sound 25 Icon Award, by the way, let's just plug that. Come on, award winners right here. We were talking about, what might come next in your music, and you were very honest about the fact that it was tough the moment you were in there. It was a tough creative moment. You were, it kind of in a difficult phase of it. Ideas were there, but you needed to kind of push through that. That's a few months back now. How are you feeling now? What kind of, space are we at in terms of what might be coming next?
It's to me it's so wild because that time frame that you and I talked, and then shortly after Apocalypse Fest, I kind of just had this moment where I was like, I just have to like really do I just need to like be honest with everybody and kind of just see what the temperature of the room is within the band, within our team, and just kind of really just have somebody say like, hey, it's okay, man. Like you can chill for a moment. And it was cool to see that everybody was supportive of just like, hey, don't worry about dumb shit that really doesn't matter in the end. Worry about you and the record and the things that are important. And that was awesome to have that support system. I obviously think, the fans saw that and they were supportive as well of the situation. So um, since then, I would say things have gotten a lot better. It's still a slow process. Like I don't have any expected release date. I have no, it's truly just we're going to work on it until we feel like we're happy with it, and it's that simple and that plain and black and white, and you'll get it when you get it. That's the narrative I'm sticking to, and that's what's best for everybody.
It's so funny, isn't it? It's like the last few years, I guess I say few, maybe the last like 10, 15 years or so,
Hmm,
that's when all the kind of cycles, if we want to call it that, have really sped up. Like I think back in the day, but we even go back to like early 2000s or whatever, bands were doing like one album every 4 years maybe, and
sure.
that was the vibe, and they were taking their time with it, and that's the way the world works. And I get that it's different now and people have to keep putting things out and all that kind of stuff, but you're absolutely right. You can't rush it. You want it to take its time so you're going to put out something you're proud of.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I do feel like I'm seeing an interesting shift now to continue off of what you said, where it felt like, back then bands were putting out records every 4 years. Some of them were putting out it just depended. Like I feel like some albums were just like back to back to back, and the bands were just on fire. And I think I loved that, not so much because I was impatient and couldn't wait for new music from these bands I love, but simply just because like when this band is awesome and then they give you immediately more amazing material, you're just so energized by that. And I liked that, but I also never minded, like it never bothered me that I waited 3 years for another album from a band, as long as it was cool. And now I feel like because of the attention span, because of the oversaturation of content and music, and there's so many there's so many bands now that fans can migrate to and sort of move on from you if you're not satisfying the need for new stuff. Bands are kind of forced to to put stuff out in a hurry. But I have noticed that a lot of the bands that have kind of achieved a status that I feel like I guess grants them the ability to wait longer and fans aren't going to go anywhere, they're taking it. And then as a result, the albums are better because they spent the time on it. And it's like, what do what do you want? Do you want something that's half of what it could have been quicker, or do you want the full realization of what the band wanted for the record in 3 years or 4 years? And then you get that. And I think every single fan's gonna have a different answer, and there's no right or wrong. There's no, you just can't answer it. And it's just, again, you have to default back to what is best for the band itself and your mental state while making it. And there's so many factors, and I'm talking way too much, and I'm gonna shut up.
Not at all. It made perfect sense, man. But it's the difference as well with someone like yourself. Like, I feel like Andy Biersack's another good example, actually. Obviously a former tour mate and stuff, because like he's a world builder, and I would count you as a world builder as well. So it is inevitably going to take more time because it's not just about let's get the songs right. There's all these other elements that have to come together because you want to put it out as it's almost like it's the key piece of the puzzle, but it is just one piece of the puzzle. Do you know what I mean?
It's like such a brilliant way to put it with bands that have so much more beneath the surface of the music. And yeah, I mean, there's no other way to say that other than there's so much more to have to consider and craft and build in addition to the music. Um, and those are types of things that I feel like are expectations of the fans of bands like that. And that's a personal expectation. So all that lines up, and you want to make sure that you're putting out this complete package that is just bulletproof on the look, the sound, the imagery, every component of what makes that album cycle what it is. So yeah, we're still in the process of that, and it will get done. Just gonna
Yeah.
figure it out. Yeah.
Yeah, just more time for the fans to get excited, man. Let's look at it that way. That's all it is. More fans, more time to get hyped. I like it.
Hmm.
Before I let you go, I want to talk about festivals and stuff because there's a few more dates on the calendar, obviously, once we wrap up this tour. One of which, one of my favorite festivals in the world, which was We'll See You Back in Vegas for When We Were Young. I love that festival, dude. Like I've gone every year now. I just think the whole vibe of it's great. It's a real celebration of our scene on a real big stage as well, which is kind of rare sometimes. It's just really nice to see this kind of music celebrated in that way. Another top lineup, in my opinion. Got to be really nice to be heading back out there and be a part of that once again.
Yeah. I mean, we had a good time on the first time. It just, yeah, I think it just has like, the same. I think you and I have talked about this before. It just has the same type of Warp Tour vibes as Warp Tour did. It's just all the coolest bands, and there's just so much for everybody. And that and Sick New World, the grounds are just a great. It's all around just a really cool, easy, fun, like effortless experience for everybody. I think it's just meant to be, like you said, a celebration of the scene and the bands from old to new. And we're just stoked to be on it, just like we were 2 years ago. And I consider Sick New World to essentially just be part of that same bubble. And, it's now 3 years in a row for us, I think. So it's just very exciting.